Susie.
664, inching towards
close.
666, just saying.
For episode 666, that will be a Patreon episode. What if I came fully decked out in gothy?
Oh, I love it. Tuesday's Sacrifice will be my co-host.
Yes, with the wig and everything.
Yeah, if you want to watch the video, you'll have to go to Patreon. But as usual, the audio will be available to everyone for free. But I mean, that's a real tempting.
It's gonna happen.
Patreon sign up. Tuesday's Sacrifice, amazing. Okay, well, something to look forward to. I feel like I have so many orders of business.
Okay, let's handle them.
Okay. Number one, both of my sisters listen to the podcast now, which is so fun. The only downside is, like, my sister Renee, she is conservative and, like, religious, and I'm always worried she'll be offended. She swears she won't, which I really respect, that she can, like, tolerate our nonsense and not.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, any crap I say about, like, conservative stuff, or if we ever get political, just know that, like, even my sister is forgiving of my bullshit.
Yeah, she understands.
But she is a server, and she had a customer, that she was waiting on the other day who yelled at her and made her cry. So I just want to say, Kim, from Allison Park, Pennsylvania, you are my sworn enemy, and I hate your guts. And the reason I know this woman's name is because she left a review on the...
No!
Yeah! And I'm going to hunt her down.
Oh, Kim is just like a close relative of a Karen.
Totally.
I mean...
Totally.
Didn't I say, like, what's that thing that's racist that's not racist? Names that start with the letter K, or things that start with the letter K that don't need to. I know. Everybody named Kim is like, what? I did nothing. It's not you guys. It's just for a joke.
Yeah, and you're probably thinking, well, if it's Susie's sister, like, she's probably sassy, like my sister. She is not.
She is not sassy.
She's, like, the nicest person you've ever met, and, like, she's, like...
Who would be mean to her?
Barely 5 feet tall, and she weighs, like, 3 pounds. Like, don't fuck with Renee. It's terrible.
I'm so sorry.
Kim, if I ever see you, we're stepping outside.
Can it, Kim?
Okay, so I also need to clarify because, so we got this message from somebody, a listener, about my discussion about, I had said, I hate how, like, all the TikTokers and stuff are always, like, speculating about Harry Styles and Taylor Swift's sexuality and all that jazz. And then I was making fun of, like, how they're always like, oh, there's an Easter egg. Her song is called Lavender, so she's bisexual and whatever. And a couple people thought that I didn't like the Easter eggs in general, and that is not the case. I just hate when people speculate about celebrity sexuality. I think it's weird and, problematic a little bit.
It definitely is problematic.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify. Easter eggs are fun. And
it's
like
the
being
speculation
a fan.
About sexuality.
Yeah, specifically that. Because she wrote to me and she goes, Suze, it's just not a vibe to talk shit about fangirls and the fun they have together, analyzing theories and finding Easter eggs. Your opener on the pod today sounds like the patriarchy took over your body. It's especially whack that you do the same thing with Frank Sinatra. Come on, girl. Just let the people have their joy. And then I said, it's not the same thing. People speculating about whether a celebrity is queer based on random Easter eggs and fan fiction is a waste of time at best. I was reporting a fact about the life of a celebrity, no speculation, no outing of someone who may or may not have wanted to be outed. I'm all for frivolous celebrity chatter, trying to decide if Harry Styles is secretly gay based on weird Reddit threads and TikTok fangirls ain't it. So... Yes. She was trying to say that her name was Lindsay. She was trying to say that my discussion about Frank Sinatra's kid being kidnapped and all that was the same. And it is not. But we came to an agreement and she was very nice about it.
Good. Well, glad that you clarified. And I'm with you on outing like celebrities or even like questioning that. I just read this article about an 18-year-old kid who's in this new Netflix show that... And I think he plays a gay character. I want to say this show's called like Homecoming or something. Like
there's
Heartbroken,
a show called Homecoming.
It might be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This kid's 18, and people were accusing him of queer baiting.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the character he played or whatever, which then led to him being forced or felt like pressure into saying,
I saw that
I'm
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, well, I'm bisexual. So, like, thanks a lot for forcing an 18-year-old to, like, come out and, like, you know, when I wasn't ready to talk about this.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. And, like, Rebel Wilson, people did that, too.
Yeah.
And so they were, like, so disappointed in her that she didn't mention that, like, fuck you, journalists who talk like that.
Yes, I see. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But Easter eggs, I love. Keep doing that. That's all.
And maybe
good.
I was confused, or I would have supported you more on that too. And maybe I now good would clarify it.
Yeah, me too. I was like, shoot, like I got tongue tied or whatever, and I wasn't precise with my language. So Easter eggs, thumbs up.
660 something episodes is going to happen every now and then.
Yeah,
that's why we have our things we got wrong show.
Then, as Sarah knows, the other day we had a big medical emergency around here.
Oh,
we got to talk about it.
I don't know how you guys are doing. I feel like I'm still recovering from it mentally. So I can only imagine what it's like over there at the Meister Butler house.
Yeah, it was a real difficult day. Adam, earlier in the day, had a migraine and went down to rest. And then by the time he came down for dinner, we were chatting and I was getting the food ready. And then all of a sudden, he was like completely unintelligible. Like, he was talking to me and he was trying to say stuff, but he wasn't making any sense. And he was slurring and he was like losing his marbles. And
what did it sound like? What did it? Was it just
very
like
labored and
PC?
Then the slurring, and then he was like, why? Like,
oh my
like
gosh,
that.
His brain just totally misfired.
Yeah, and that can be signs of a stroke. And so I called 911 and then the paramedics came and all that. And then slowly over time he improved and started to make sense and everything. But while I was on with 911, they asked about if he had any like pain in his arm and stuff, and he did. He had tingling in his arm.
Oh, God.
And they made me do all these tests with him where, you know, make him smile with his teeth, see if it's
that's smart.
Symmetrical.
Wow. Okay, these are good things to know.
Yeah, this is why I'm telling you.
Smile with your teeth.
Yeah, and then like do this thing with his arms where he puts them above his head and then slowly brings them down in front of him I don't know what that's about, but he did that okay. And then they made him say, the early bird catches the worm. And he couldn't really say it. And she goes, does he always talk like that? And I was like, well, he is British, but no.
No.
And so she's like, that's when I noticed that she got into like real serious mode.
Okay. Because she noticed that's not how normal.
Yeah.
Wow.
He
couldn't say it, right?
Just didn't sound
He was
right.
confused about, sounded confused about that. And that's a very common, we should all know that.
Yeah, and
phrase.
What's crazy is at the very day I had just checked a book out of the library called, I think it was called Stroke of
Genius.
Let me see if I have it. And it's about this.
It's about the woman who's a neuroscientist who has a stroke. Stroke of Genius.
Yeah, and so I was starting that book.
It's a great book.
Yeah, but what are the odds though that?
What are the odds, Suze?
Right?
That's crazy.
But I just wanted to read you the warning signs of a stroke because it's an acronym that's the word stroke. And the first one is speech, any problems with language, tingling, any numbness in the body, remember, issues with memory. O stands for off balance.
Oh.
K is killer headache, which he also had. And then E is eyes. So that's the acronym. And those are the warning signs of a stroke. So make sure you call 911 if that ever happens because it's serious biz.
It is.
I don't know if he had a mini stroke or not. We'll have to get tests on his brain, see what happened. It could have been from the migraine. It could have been from the migraine medication, or it could be a mini stroke. So we don't know yet. But he's fine now. As you saw on Halloween, Hagrid was in full effect. I mean, he was like, but that was real scary.
That would be real scary for you. You've had a few jump to action moments recently. I don't know how you do it.
Well, he's real, like, he's my little British baby. Like, I feel like he's a sensitive guy. If he stands outside in the sun for like 5 minutes, he gets like sunstroke and stuff. And so I just have to keep my eye on him. He really is, for being so tough and like burly, like in the lumberjack department. He really has a lot of medical stuff come up. I was like, oh God, I am not.
He is lumberjacky and burly and like can just handle. Very like Hagrid.
Yeah. So if you see those signs, don't feel weird about calling 911 because it's so important to, get help right away, because if it is a stroke, they need to jump to action.
Yeah.
Something else in the medical world that is of interest is how much I freaking love Glad Skin products.
Oh my goodness, Suze.
I'm so impressed.
Has really, I noticed such a difference. I couldn't believe how frequent that atopic dermatitis really affected me. I would get out of the shower and have like red bumps everywhere. Yeah. I do not have that when I use the Glad skincare washes, and it feels like my skin, even in this dry weather, is still like hydrated, and it's not dried out and gross. And
it's so great. I mean,
free of all the fragrances and dyes and all that stuff that you'd be sensitive to if you're somebody like me.
Yeah.
Which 56% of the United States is, according to the pamphlet I read.
Yeah. If you have eczema or blemishes or breakouts or irritation, any of that stuff, Glad Skin could really help you. Rosacea. I mean, pretty much everybody has something.
Yeah.
And like Sarah said,
skin is a big organ, and like
a lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
But they use let me see if I say it, Microbalance. And it's like a revolutionary protein. And it does that thing with like good and bad bacteria. Because like, you want to maintain.
That's what we need. Some of it we need. And when you strip it all off, then your body produces, it throws everything off balance.
Yes.
This keeps that balance.
Right. So it's like protecting the good stuff and then dealing with the issues. Steroid free, by the way. So no harsh ingredients. So if you've been frustrated with your treatment options, don't wait to try Glad Skin. They're offering our listeners 15% off plus free shipping on your first order at gladskin.com/braincandy. That's gladskin.com/braincandy for 15% off plus free shipping. Gladskin.com/braincandy. Really gentle too. They have like the baby. You can use it on babies as well. So, I mean, it's really nice stuff. Okay.
My God, I feel like I have more sensitive skin than a baby. I'm like, I wish I could use some of that baby stuff.
You're so tender.
So tender.
That's so cute, Sarah. I love this about you. Anyway, Adam's doing much better, but I just want to tell you guys that be on the lookout if anything weird happens.
Yeah, I'm so glad that he's okay. I hope that he gets, just like the monitoring and maybe some information or whatever that they need, and maybe some rest.
I know. When the paramedics came, he was like talking about his stress. And like, I get this weird thing, like I don't like oversharing. And I'm like, they're busy. Just shut up. Meanwhile, he's like having a medical emergency.
Doing their job, which is making sure he's de-stressed, like you're like checking on him.
Wrap it up, Adam. Because
symptoms, blah blah blah.
They don't care, but they did care. They're very nice, and
they do care, and they care so much. Those firefighters and paramedics, when they come to, they really want to know.
Yeah,
all of those. It's like a puzzle, and they want all the pieces. They ask the best questions, and they know how to ask very specific ones where it's like those signs. They'll be like, "Is okay? Do this, this, this. Oh, okay, not that." You're like, "How did you know that?"
Yeah,
and it's just like very simple. Like my friend Dave will like just grab my hand and press my nail, and he goes, "Oh, you're dehydrated." I'm like, "How do you know?" And there's something about how fast your blood, the capillaries refill on your nails after you squeeze them or something.
Like magic, man.
And it really is. They're like little tests that firefighters and like fire paramedics learn to like diagnose things in the body real fast, and I love them. Like there's something with an appendicitis about hopping on one foot. I can't remember if you're left or right one. And if you can't do it, it's like, oh, gotta go.
Wow.
You have appendicitis.
This is way better than what I do, which is Google.
Call my brother the firefighter. But then again, my brother's answer to most things is, it's probably nothing.
Well, right. And that's why I get panicked because I'm like, Adam, they don't care. Like, it's like, but if you're having signs of a stroke, that could actually be a stroke.
That would be the time. I'm like, maybe I should take some time off.
Okay. I want to tell people if you're interested, I highly recommend the A Tree of Life documentary on HBO about the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. Yeah. It was so moving, Sarah.
You were like weeping. So directly like connected to that in a way. You were really
man. That's
involved.
My neighborhood. And it's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Literally, that's where he lived, was Squirrel Hill, which is where it happened. And people take a lot of pride in that and like see this as like, this is sacred ground, like Mr. Rogers. Yeah. And also it's the Jewish community where they live and go to temple. And it was so moving. And what I really liked, which maybe you guys would like too, is that unlike most crime documentaries, this was all about the victims. They barely mentioned
That's so good. Mm-hmm. That's what we need.
It was telling their stories and why they, like what made them special as individuals and then as a community and as a religious community. It was so moving.
I don't think I can name another documentary that does something like that off the top of my head for survivors or victims of anything.
Even like the ones that, because you would think, okay, well, that's because all the victims were in the same religious institution and stuff. So, of course, it's easier to talk about them as a unit rather than like, a serial killer's victims are all different, whatever.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But even when you think about like Columbine or ones like that where they were all part of the same, they focus on the shooters. Mm-hmm. And I had, of course, seen the list of names and I'd seen their pictures, but I didn't know anything about them. And there were two guys that were brothers that died, and I didn't know that they were intellectually disabled. And their story was so moving because, number one, that's so disturbing that these guys were, volunteering at their church or their temple and had these intellectual disabilities, and that they took so much pride in being a part of that community and how they blessed like people in that neighborhood and stuff. Ugh. And their parents were on. I mean, their parents are very, very old, but they were trying to take heart and saying like, well, we're grateful that they didn't have to lose us because they needed us. And so like, they never had.
So they're like, in a way, grateful that.
Yeah. But
they didn't have to be on their own.
Like
and
what you do when you have to find a silver lining.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's some good positive reframing. And that is a wonderful, I can only imagine that the community that they have makes that not easier, but not as, well, nothing makes it easier, nothing makes it better, nothing will make it
That's
not
the
as
way
hard,
that they can frame it to feel like, okay, well, they were spared this other pain.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so moving. So, but I did, like I said, I cried like through the whole thing. So it's not like you're not going to feel. It's very heavy.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
But sometimes we need those kind of cathartic releases, and sometimes it helps to feel better in our own situation when you can do just some sort of like kind of, I don't know, comparison of makes you very grateful for.
Well, and the survivors that spoke in the documentary, they were very inspiring. I mean, the way that they felt when they were injured and thought they were going to die, and how they were grateful for like a life well lived. And I was like, whew, I have a lot of work to do, because I'm like mad when someone's mean to me at Target. You know what I mean?
She's like, this person blocked me on Instagram.
Like, I'm
They're
mad
dead
at
to me.
Kim who yelled at my sister. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm like, I will find you. Meanwhile, these people are like, I forgive him. And I'm like, mad at some lady who was a Karen. So
well, I was just
inspiring.
having this conversation with somebody the other day where it came out in our conversation that patience is a byproduct of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can have focus on empathy above all else, then patience, forgiveness, understanding, compassion, all of that, those are all byproducts of empathy.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And even though that is not my strength, it's I find it very encouraging to see people who are really good at it. And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to try a little harder, Suze.
Yeah.
It's really good. So I would recommend that.
I knew when you posted about it on Instagram, and I knew from your post, I was like, oh, she cried this was
Whole
a
time.
Susie emotional tearjerker. I knew it from just how you posted that. Oh, hi, little bird. There's a little bird that's come join me. Hi.
Yeah, that's why I said don't look away, because it's very tempting to be like, oh, that's tough. I don't want to watch that. I need an escape, which we all do sometimes. But when you feel up for it, you should watch it, because the act of like one bad guy shouldn't overshadow like what all these people did, where they came together and support each other and like.
Well, how Mr. Rogers of the look for the helpers thing is what that reminds me of.
Yeah, truly. It's very moving. On a lighter note, maybe as a coping mechanism, you bake or cook, and if you do that, you would enjoy Caraway. For real.
You will really. Let me tell you what else they just came out with for the holidays that I saw, because like it was actually in my HelloFresh pack. They had like a little like write up about Caraway and like a little like flyer for it.
Yeah.
They have you know how good their stuff looks. Like it's so beautiful. You can like keep it out, which is really nice, especially if you live in a teeny tiny apartment like I do. And they have matching, like, they're not bins. They're like storage.
Yeah,
they're
storage
beautiful looking.
set. Mm-hmm.
They're like a storage set to hold your cookware. One of the things that I hate is when it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, give me the thing
I need
to contain. When I saw that, I'm like, okay.
When my sister
necessary.
Gretchen saw it, she texted me and she was like, what? She
Yeah,
sent me, like,
see, she had the same. Me and Gret, we get it.
Yeah.
So, like, it comes with, please, sold.
I was
That
like,
is
this
a
changes
great
everything.
sister Christmas present. Like,
Yeah, for real. My sister is actually getting it for my mom, because my mom is a big baker. And so
yes.
my sister was like, hey, I want to get you some Caraway. What would you like? And my mom sent her like a huge list.
She's like, everything.
Yeah. We were cracking up, but it would make a great gift. These are non-toxic, so it's not any of those crazy chemicals, but it's still, what is the word?
Non-stick.
Thank you, non-stick.
Yeah.
Where like that crap just falls right out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do
Like-
it. It's amazing. And they're beautiful, like Sarah said. Visit carawayhome.com to take advantage of their Cyber Season event and score up to 20% off your next purchase of non-toxic kitchenware. This deal won't last long. Visit carawayhome.com to shop all their incredible products for up to 20% off this holiday season. Caraway. That is a really great thing, because you can
so
buy
good.
gifts, whatever, and that is a really nice discount, 20% off. High quality. These are pieces you'll keep
Oh
forever.
my God, it's such a good, such a deal. I'm looking right. And it comes with the storage thing. Stop it! I love it. I love it so much. Anyways.
Let's talk about something fun, which is Trapper Keepers. Did you ever have a Trapper Keeper?
I sure did. I loved them. Here's my one, the one drawback of the Trapper Keeper.
Tell me, is it the Velcro?
Is that you could not decorate it in the same way you could those clear plastic ones.
Are you kidding me right
where
now?
you could just slide all
You're
of
mad
them.
that they provided the artwork.
Yeah.
But
what I did like, but Trapper Keeper did is they solved that solution though, and they came out with the 3-hole organizers that you could put in the 3-ring binder. So you could still have you didn't have to have the Trapper Keeper binder. You could have regular binder with a Trapper Keeper pencil holder with all the pockets and everything.
Yeah.
So that is the route I went. But I did have, of course, Trapper with the zipper on it and everything.
Did you remember what was on it? What did you have?
I remember it being Lisa Frank.
Of course.
It was that time period. So,
Yeah.
and my
Well, and
mom
you were so
went
Lisa
to high school with Lisa Frank.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
So she made sure that I knew that and reminded me of that every time I used it.
What
I
did
went to high
she
school
say
with
about her? I wonder what she's like.
I want to say my mom said she might have been one of I don't want to say she was one of the mean girls, but that kind of feels like it rings a bell.
Really?
It could have gone that
Lisa
direction, or my
your
mom was a mean girl to her. It's one or the other. It's like Lisa Frank was a mean girl, or my mom mean girled Lisa Frank.
Right. And it probably depends on who's telling the story.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the inventor of the Trapper Keeper had recently died, and he was an old fella, so he had a nice life. But as a result, there was some articles about Trapper Keeper, and I was really into it. Because, as a gal who loves their label maker and organization, I mean, Trapper Keepers.
It's like, yeah. This must have, it's like, you love it.
I love it. I love the functionality. I love, that it was so, affordable. It was so attractive.
Do you remember what yours looked like?
Yeah, but mine was a hand-me-down. It had horses on it for some reason.
Horses.
I didn't choose that, but I was
That could have been a Lisa Frank one, too.
Oh,
They're,
really?
running with the line of them, running towards the
But they
front.
weren't a cartoon. They were actual
Oh, they were
horses,
real. Okay,
which
no.
seems strange. How did I get that? I do not know.
No, I remember this era. They'd be it's like...
Horse girls.
Yeah, horses. Kind of like a rainbow sunset behind it. They're maybe on the beach running.
Such a weird time.
Yeah, I can picture this. And they're running in a line. I feel like I remember this cover.
For me, it was just, they were so handy. But the guy said the inventor had done an interview with, I think it was Vice. And he had, when he created the prototype, he put little cards inside for feedback that you could send back to let him know what you liked about it and why you bought it and all that. And he said that his favorite one was from this 14-year-old kid named Fred, who said, the question was, why did you buy the Trapper Keeper? And his comment on the slip was, I just needed some place to keep my shit. And the guy was really into that being the answer, because that's what it is.
That is it.
Teenagers tell you the truth.
I need to keep trap and keep.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I never knew why it was called that.
Yeah.
Apparently, when he created it,
Trapper Keeper.
Folders that were, the pocket was on the bottom were popular. And if you turned it upside down, the paper fell out. And so they had to do the vertical folder pockets that then you tucked it in. And when you closed it, they were trapped in there. They trapped the paper. I never knew that.
That seems like duh.
It does seem like duh.
It's the same way I feel about when they decided to make ketchup bottles upside down. It's this took too long.
Yeah, good point.
This took too long to make the envelope, the trapper, the things we stored paper in, not non-functioning when you put it upside down. Well, it is so weird to think of the time before things existed, the high five or random shit that we take. We talked about that on here when the high five was invented. Yeah. There was a time when we were all this paper. What do I even do? I imagine, those are the black and white versions of infomercial where they're throwing paper in the air and you can't. Oh, it's everywhere. I can't contain it.
There's no solution.
There's no solution. Somebody's paper cuts themselves and it's like make some reaction that's way over the top. I was struggling, just like the other day. I was in the kitchen. I was struggling to do something. Like something was annoying me. And I was like struggling extra hard with it. And Eli was like, how come you're acting like the black and white part of an infomercial right now? You do not need to try that hard to do whatever you're doing. He's like, this seems dramatic.
Like when Joey didn't know how to pour milk. And he didn't know how to, he needed the thing in that, you are not a Friends aficionado. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I am.
Remember when Joey started in the infomercial about like that thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I missed the beginning of this because I was talking too much. I didn't know who we were talking about. I thought you said Adam, and I was like, Adam is like me. Yeah, I get it. He's like me. We're the same. Joey, maybe also like me.
When Joey didn't know how to pour the milk. But yeah, like before the Trapper Keeper, they were putting their papers in these folders that were not doing the job. And they had done all this research that said classes were getting bigger. Kids were having more classes, and their lockers were getting smaller. And they were like, we need a solution. Yes. And then he made the Trapper Keeper, and he said the greatest thing about the Trapper Keeper, even though it was very effective, the real thing that made it great was that you could express yourself with whatever you chose. And it also was like, it became a cultural touchstone because those things that you were into, you don't last forever. You're not always into Smurfs or whatever. And so it's very nostalgic, and they became this big deal.
Yeah.
Because of
and they're connected to like a time that's very bookmarked. I mean, like, no pun intended, but like that, it really is like the start of the school year, the end of the school year, where you had that. It
was hopeful. You thought, this is my year. I'm going to do better.
Every single time I walked, always. I'm like, this year we're going to keep up the academic planner through January.
Well, because you're very organized. Were you always that way?
No. I had to create that. What
is with us?
Well, I had to create a system because there was none. It was like I remember when I went to my psychiatrist, when my therapist was like, you have ADHD. And everybody else around me was like, you have ADHD. And then I went to a psychiatrist and I told him, and he found out that I was in grad school. He was so shocked that I had managed to organize my life in a way that could obtain acceptance into grad. Like, he's like, with the scores I had, he's like, I honestly don't know how you did it, because you must have really come up with some tricks.
I love that it's like,
and one of them was Trapper Keepers. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was that and different colored pens.
How does that help?
I would do different subjects in different colors. And so it would help me remember what I needed to do or what, because I'd be like, oh, I've got red homework. That's math. Green was science, obvi. English was blue. I still remember. Yeah.
So silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You are remarkable in so many ways.
But I need to get back to, it was funny. Eli was, well, first of all, thank you. You're so sweet for saying that. I feel the same about you. Eli, we've been like, I'm like moving into his house slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And like one
Sarah's
of the things
moving again, for those of you who are keeping track.
It's like I'm never not moving. It's so annoying. And one of the things that I really need to set up is my calendar. I'm like, I'm struggling because I don't have a calendar here. I need like the written thing. And he keeps, in like the nicest way, he's like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And I'm like, Eli, let me stop you. I have spent 36 years perfecting a strat. There is one that works. There is no app that is going to work. It took me years. The only thing that works is writing it down on a calendar that has 3 sections, a daily, a monthly, and my brain dump little like square to fill everything out in. And it has to be in a place where I walk by it at least 20 times a day, because I will forget every single thing that's on there. Like, that is the only way that works. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Got it. Let's make sure that we get this for you.
Oh, poor Eli.
Yeah.
But it is true. You have to find what works for you.
And you can't change it. It's like I'm not going to like start a new system at 36. No. So same with you. You developed a system. Yeah. And you always say that. Like, you have to have that, right?
Heck yeah. And like I always say to you, I'm book solid over here. I don't need new stuff. Because I want to be that person that continues to learn new technology and continues to learn new music. I don't want to stop because I'm an old lady. But with certain things that work for me, like that organization stuff, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
leave it where it is until it stops working.
Right. Hard to develop over time.
I'll tell you what always works every time, and that is Thrive Cosmetics.
Oh, I just got my new order today.
Did you? What'd you get?
I got the concealer.
Yeah.
Because we've reached that time of the year where I'm not the same color I was in the summer. I'm indoors most of the time. And when I'm outdoors, I'm wearing goggles and a full face mask. Yeah. So I'm, because I'm snowboarding. I get no sun.
We know.
I just wanted to say that. I just want to talk about powder, Susie. Different kind of powder for my face. No, so I got the concealer, and then, of course, I had to re-up on my mascara.
Yeah.
Because I will never use another one.
When I was waiting for my new tube, I used,
Same mistake.
I was
don't you see the comparison?
Mad. Yeah. It's
and
unbelievable.
I'll never go back. That's why I was like, fuck that. Sorry,
no.
I can't.
Their Liquid Lash Extensions mascara, I said on our Instagram, and I meant it. It's the best I've ever tried.
Same.
But also, I love their powder. I love, what else do I have?
You use the CC cream.
Oh, I love the CC cream.
The buildable. So yeah, I got that, but in a concealer. Because I just do like a tinted moist, and then I put the concealer where I need it, and then just rub it in, and it works like a foundation, I feel like.
Yeah, because you're 7 years younger than me. I need to take it up a notch with the old CC cream. But it is great, and it's so light, and it looks so pretty. Their products are really high quality, and I would not steer you wrong. And you could put, be good at stocking stuffer.
Excellent. And they even have sets, too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have holiday sets, so you can still get this discount on the sets, too.
Okay, celebrate the season of giving. Try Thrive Cosmetics today. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/braincandy. That's Thrive Cosmetics. It's CAUSEMETICS.com/braincandy for 15% off your first order. Really, really love their products.
Yeah, or you can just check out our Brain Candy section
we have
of
it on our website.
Yeah, our Brain Candy codes.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Oh, this is crazy. I usually save this stuff for our Patreon where we talk about reality TV, but this one had to go on the main feed. This is
Whoa, I can't wait for this.
Okay, let me pull up the article. Maybe you already heard about this. Maybe everyone knows. I've never heard of it. In Japan, you know how like sometimes in Japan they have those wild like game shows and they have like a different style of television that is unfamiliar to Westerners, but they freaking love it. Well, they also have way more extreme reality shows that are very disturbing. And I'm going to read you some about this one. It says, Nasubi, the true story of a reality show that destroyed someone's life. Oh. I mean, dun, dun, dun. Horrible. Okay. So they created this show, and they picked this guy who's a comedian to be the contestant, the only contestant. Mm-mm. And they selected him to participate, and he had to stay alone and unclothed, completely naked, in a teeny tiny apartment, secluded from the outside world, and all he had were piles and piles of magazines. Mm-hmm. And he had to win $10,000 from like the contests within the magazine. So he would have to like send postcards to win contests in the magazine sweepstakes. And that's how he could survive. He could only survive on what he won from the sweepstakes.
Well, what the heck?
Does this sound good to you?
No, it sounds terrible.
Yes. And they told him that he was just going to be self-recording, with a video camera. He was going to record his day-to-day experiences. But that was a lie.
No. They were really recording him.
And they were putting it out live while it happened, and he didn't know.
That's fucked up.
This gets so much worse. If you think that's bad, I mean, so guess how long he was in this apartment?
Oh, no.
15 months.
Oh, shit.
15 months. All he did was write letters to publications so he could win these prizes.
Well, there's even a layer to that that's really fucked up and twisted, because it says that like the only way you'll survive is really by chance.
Well, right.
And it, like, in the same way, like, it keeps you going, but then also gives you those feelings. It's like slot machines, you know, that are designed to, like, pay out just at the right time, but just enough to, like, sustain you. Like, that feels in a way like what this is, and it's messed up. Just that part.
And he would have to eat, you know, like if all he won was a bag of dog food, that's what he would have to eat.
What?
Yeah. This is how he lived on the food and everything. Okay. So then eventually... This kind of
makes me think I should be entering more magazine contests if people are winning.
Honestly, I think I've talked on the show about how I used to be a promotions director for a radio station, and there were certain people we called prize pigs, and they were the ones who won a lot because that's their whole life.
Entered everything.
Yeah. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And, okay, so it took him almost a year to get enough winnings that he met the goal that they had said was his goal. And so then he was placed in another secluded apartment, told to take off his clothes, and then enter more sweepstakes. But he was really good at it by then. Because a lot of it is just about learning the rules of the contest. So he got really good at it. And so he won enough to get out of the next apartment really quickly in a couple weeks, and that made them mad.
Oh, no.
And they said that he was just like, he needed to make enough money to earn his ticket back to where he lived. And then they changed it because he did it too fast they said, no, you need a first class ticket. So he's losing his marbles. And then it kept going on and on.
This seems like you're signing up for torture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like mental torture.
Yeah. It's just like, how could they keep doing it to him is what I don't get. But
well, I mean, when you see production companies who, like, don't get their story that they want and what they do.
Yeah.
It's not
anything
good.
For good TV.
Yeah.
And it was hugely, hugely popular. And that's the other thing.
I mean, could you imagine? You're, like, wondering, like, is he going to get it? Like,
and he still doesn't even know it's on TV. Like, he still thinks that this is for future stuff. But anyway, he lost a bunch of weight. He became nutritionally depleted, of course, and was isolated for so long without human interaction that his speech started to slow down. And
my God.
He had basically developed schizophrenia in terms of symptoms because of this.
Yeah. Well, when you deprive the brain from stimulation, it starts, even if you, I went to this really cool thing, this interactive, kind of like interactive theater, called the Theater of the Mind, that is on tour. It's one of the guys from the Talking Heads, I think, produced this and put it on. And it's like actors who do this Theater of the Mind where they take you through these different rooms, and it's like this mental journey of like how much can you really trust your mind? And one of the rooms that you go into is a sensory deprivation kind of room where they first fill it with red light, and then they take away all the light, and you hold your hand up. You can't see your hand in front of you. It's pitch black. And then they flash a strobe light, and you hold a mirror in front of you, and whatever image was on the mirror will stay in your visual field for like a minute. Like even when the lights go out and it like turns, it messes with your mind. So like basically when you deprive the brain of any sort of like stimulation, or you put it in the sensory deprivation, it will start hallucinating and start seeing things and filling in the holes with information. So like, how much can we really trust it? So I can imagine in this situation where he's deprived of human interaction and so many things that are so basic to like our human experience, that his brain started to fill in some of the gaps, which would give you those schizophrenic like symptoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
I had a moment
he survived.
in that room where I had to take a big deep breath and tell myself, you are safe. You're just because I was worried I was going to hallucinate. I was like, what the fuck is going to happen here? And I panicked for like 30 seconds. And then I like had to tell myself, Eli's 5 feet away. there's a door. You can, if you really needed to, you could leave at any moment. But I had to fucking tell myself that. And that was literally for 5 minutes.
Right.
I couldn't imagine 15 months.
In the end, they took him to a third apartment and he just started taking off his clothes automatically. They didn't even tell it to. And then all the walls fell down and there was a studio audience. Right? I don't even know how he's still alive, but he is. And he I don't know.
That's messed up. That's like the Truman Show. That's like, you'll go crazy. He needs therapy. That guy needs a lot of help. He really fucking does.
I just don't there needs to be ethical, regulations on this stuff.
This is really not okay.
But thank you to, I forget the brainiac that sent that to me. I apologize. I forgot your name, but thank you for sending that to me because that was outrageous.
Yeah, good story.
My God, right? And then I was like, well, at least I didn't have to endure that. I mean, we got off easy in comparison. I love how you're did we?
I'm like, oh, this really is just... When you take it to extremes, I think you can see how damaging that can be.
Yeah.
But if there are elements of that quote unquote extreme that regular people who go on reality TV experience, and we can look at that experience that this guy had and be like, wow, that's fucked up. Then I think some of the things that are similar, the elements that are...
It's what I always say, the extreme exposes the more mundane.
Thank you. That is exactly what I was like, that needs to show that we need mental health care for, because it messes with your mind. I don't understand
why he didn't quit. Because I don't know anyone
I think in the same way, you know how when they did the Stanford, this is all connected. Like when they did the Stanford prison experiment, how those people could have quit anytime and they didn't. That as soon as you put somebody in a situation where a person of authority says you signed up for this and you feel like you have no way out, it's in a way like learned helplessness. That would
want to do this.
Yes,
and you're turning it down.
It's not. It's easy to see how the mind will do what it thinks is best, get in the current situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that could often not be what past you or future you would want, but it's what you right now decides to do to survive or to manage, whatever.
And it seems like if you mess with somebody's stimuli
enough,
then their ability to assess risk and stuff is also compromised.
100%. Even I think that making him naked and that kind of added vulnerability takes away a little bit of your personhood, like the
identity.
It's and power and autonomy and a whole bunch of stuff. Every single element of that was like designed to fuck with somebody's psyche in like a really messed up way. And I think that sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Like whether that's something that's intentional from reality producers in the United States, like with shows we're more familiar with, or if it's unintentional, like a byproduct or like something that just happens because you're like, oh, that makes for good TV. Either way, it's something that's happening.
Yeah,
whether people are aware of it or not. That they're putting people, like in the same way when we were on the show and they would do things like leave the lights on all the time. And say like, oh, we can't turn the lights on. Yes, you fucking can. Those guys can go to bed in the dark. The two people awake. You could turn the lights off for the rest of us. This seems like a mind fuck. Or when they would like hold off on putting food out or like control when certain things were, it feels like intentional, whether it's design, whether they're aware that they're doing it or not. It's an attempt to control our environment to create a reaction that would be good for television.
Yeah, that would be entertaining.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that he said that it took him about 6 months to be able to wear clothes without like sweating and stuff. And it really spoke to actually that book that I love, The Comfort Crisis.
Yes.
And it talks about how like the only way to get used to like being cold is to like keep exposing yourself to cold.
Mm-hmm.
And how, if you
That's
don't.
why I always drive to the ski slopes with the windows down and with my jacket unzipped. Because I'm like, do not be nice and toasty on your drive there, or else you'll be fucking freezing as soon as you get out of that car.
See, if you have to like do stuff like that for your hobby, that is a red flag to me. Like you have to prepare mentally for your leisure time.
You're like, this is going to suck.
Count me out.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was fascinating, and thank you for sending it to me.
What a great story.
When you were growing up, did you ever buy candy cigarettes?
Oh, of course I did.
Like, it's insane that was a thing, isn't it?
Insane. That you could, like... And then there were... I remember there was a shift. There was the candy cigarettes and just, like... Because, like, older kids had them and they were cool, but I didn't really know what I was doing with them, and I would just, like, break them and eat the candy because that's... Like,
yeah, they were tasty.
It was candy. And then there was a time where pretending like you were smoking the cigarette with the candy cigarette was the draw. Was like, no pun intended, was the pull, was like the thing that we were buying it for. Mm-hmm. The appeal. And I remember the first time I learned that in order to really get the full effect, you just blew out. And they had that powder dust that really made it look like you were like,
isn't
like
that
smoking.
insane?
Insane that my goal as a child was to try to get the most realistic and biggest puff.
No,
you wonder
that
why
part...
vaping is a fucking problem now.
But that part seems reasonable to me. What's insane is that this was allowed and seen as just a normal, fun thing for kids to do. Right. That we would, like, what if we
the ice cream man sold?
Yes. What if there were like pretend
kids were like,
syringes?
Our parents were like, here's some money for the ice cream man for you to buy fake cigarettes.
It's really weird that this was socially accepted.
Guaranteed produced by Big Tobacco.
Well, the article that I read was in Smithsonian magazine.
Like, Nestle is not the one making these. Am I right?
No, you're wrong, but... What? You're right to an extent, because it was the candy manufacturers that were doing it, but they were using like the actual artwork from the cigarettes, and the cigarette companies were like turning a blind eye to it.
Oh,
like,
they were like, "Oh, no problem here. Definitely not going to sue you guys for infringement or copyright infringement." Oh,
and sometimes they would like supply
subtly
the
marketing.
Artwork. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, like, no big deal, whatever. And so then...
Like, hey, put a Camel on that pack. That would be a good idea.
Yeah, Pall Mall. That's what my dad smoked. No filter on those babies. R.I.P. Dad. I mean, for real, that is like just like a death wish. And they had, Marlboro. I'm sure they had all of them, but...
Wow.
Okay, so then in 2007 or 2008, they did a study... And it found that kids who use these candy cigarettes were 2 times as likely to become smokers.
100%.
Okay, but would you say, I would argue, because, correlation does not equal causation. Right. I would think maybe the kids who tended to like them and buy them had parents who smoked.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera. And so then that was more of a predictor, but... Maybe not. I would love to see if they controlled for, exposure to cigarettes in the home.
My parents didn't smoke cigarettes, but they were like down to party.
With like wacky tobacco or?
This was the 80s. They were doing cocaine, I'm sure.
Oh, God.
Please.
Are
they
you
were
serious?
In LA. Susie. They grew up. I grew up in Topanga Canyon in the film industry in the 80s and 90s, and my mom did wardrobe for Aerosmith and Kiss and all was like
your mom and dad were doing cocaine.
Guaranteed.
Wow. I am amazed.
They have openly admitted to doing shrooms on a family camping trip that we did with another family while we were all floating down the river in Yosemite, and our parents were fucking tripping on shrooms. Our parents have admitted to this.
Wow.
They're like, oh yeah, we were on shrooms that whole trip.
Don't you feel like you're a miracle?
Miracle. And then I remember there was a time where they were like, here's a matchbox. Have fun, kids. We just got a strike anywhere box of matches for as a babysitter.
What do you think's more destructive? Like religious fundamentalism like I was grown up in, or parents doing coke?
I don't know. Either way, because...
It's like total opposite ends of the spectrum. Same
totally.
result.
Same result. Yeah.
What a riot. Okay, well, then I guess you did have a lot of candy cigarettes because, I mean, anything goes over there.
Anything goes. Wow. Yeah. My mom would probably be like, we did not. And then, like, I guarantee any of her friends would be like, Sally, we definitely did. Because, like, I know now my friends' parents, like, my friends and, like, they're all old enough. And, like, you know, now we're all old enough for them to be like, yeah, we were doing that.
Truth is.
And, like, my mom's, like, the last holdout who's like, no, we weren't. I'm like, Mom, all of your friends have already admitted to this.
Adam remembered also, like, you did the gum dust that flew off to make a plume of smoke that was very authentic. And then I didn't remember this. This must have been just, I wasn't exposed to it. But some of them had red ends to simulate the actual end
like
of a cigarette.
It was like, like on fire. Like,
yeah, and then England
I don't remember that.
They banned that part. They were like,
right, because that was the problem. That's where the problem was. Oh, my goodness.
Why do you think, though, that, like, that was not only legal but fine, but, like, if for real, if you had, like, a play syringe
I really do believe that this was, like, at the same time where moms were worried about, like, drugs and Halloween candy.
Yeah, that's what makes no sense.
And it's like, your local...
Like you would never have a toy shot glass or a toy, like drug paraphernalia. But I guess smoking was seen as more innocuous somehow.
Yeah, and then it's weird that stuck around for so long. Like I honestly think they were selling candy cigarettes longer than smoking was even allowed in like restaurants and indoors.
They still sell them now, but they just don't call them that. They just call them candy sticks.
Oh, for Pete's sake, we all know what that is. The candy stick that looks like that other thing that you puff.
Yeah.
Weird.
So there you go. I guess that's it for now.
Yeah, I guarantee you if you made it candy joints and made it like weed themed, that would get shut down in 2 seconds.
Yeah, meanwhile, how many people die from marijuana versus how many people die from cigarettes?
Nobody dies from weed.
Yeah. Come on now. We always get our, wires crossed.
I know.
Let's wind it down. Kim at Eaton Park.
A lot.
I'm coming for you. Eaton Park. Because that's where she works. That's the restaurant. Kim, my enemy.
Kim. Yeah, your enemy.
She works at this restaurant in Pittsburgh called Eaton Park. I'm coming for you.
Oh.
I'm just leaving bad reviews, okay? I'm not going to hunt her down.
She's not going door to door.
Then Tree of Life documentary.
Oh,
so good. So moving. Trapper Keeper. Still love it after all these years.
What if somebody still had theirs? Do you think any of our listeners still have theirs?
My friend just bought her own now. Like they still,
like a new one. Like they still make them. They're cool.
Why don't we have those? Because
we should. It seems like the right thing.
Yeah, and they're handy. Man.
I mean, I have this. This feels Trapper Keeper. Similar.
Oh yes, that's like a sophisticated Trapper Keeper.
This is like a grown-up Trapper Keeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
This was an item that Eli and his dad were passing off to each other. Eli got this from, I don't know, some kind of like retreat he went to and thought it was real funny to leave it at his dad's house. And then his dad was like, oh, I don't need that. And then his dad left it at his house and then he left it at his house. And they did this thing for like 2 months.
I love shit like that.
And then I was like, oh, this is real handy. I'll take it.
You ruined
now
it.
Joke is over. I know. I think I ruined the whole thing.
Sarah ruined the gag. She was like, I could really use a
I ruined
binder.
the gag. I did. They were going for a while. It was great.
Well, Trapper Keepers are awesome. I'll tell you what's not is abusive reality TV shows.
No, I want to look into that because that seems crazy.
It's really disturbing.
It really is.
It's
going to be just a matter of time before something really, really bad happens.
For sure. I'm surprised it's not been worse yet.
Me too.
Then we have candy cigarettes, and don't forget about those signs of a stroke for your loved one.
Yes.
Any kind of weirdness. Yeah.
What's T?
Let me find
teeth. No, not teeth. Speech. Talking and speech are the same thing.
Okay.
R.
T is tingling.
Remembering. Tingling. Remembering.
Off balance.
Killer headache.
And eyes.
And eyes. Got it. This is good. Thank you, Susie. Hope Adam feels better.
Me too. And we'll see you next time, everybody.